Good afternoon and welcome to the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction's daily briefing. It is Tuesday, April 28th. My name is Donna Fishbeck. I am the Chief of Staff and I will be providing today's updates and a briefing on behalf of Superintendent Basler as she has a commitment of another meeting. So welcome. I would like just to begin today with guidance on school reopening. We mentioned this yesterday, but I want to provide you with what we know and are working on at this point in time. The governor has the sole ability to reopen schools in the state, and this decision is not taken lightly. And the governor will examine data and expert knowledge from the Department of Health officials to make this decision. At the current time, a guidance plan is being created by a team consisting of the governor's office, the Department of Public Instruction, Department of Health, and members of the field. This guidance will outline 4 areas of consideration, and I just want to go over what those 4 areas are as they are working on the guidance. The first 3 that I'm going to discuss are areas that are going to look to indicators and assurances, and 1 in academic support. And so those assurances of what is the school's plan to meet every child's need, including all learners, especially those children who are on IEPs. A second indicator and or assurance would be around the area of or consideration of funding and really examining what the specific needs are in providing support. A third area of consideration is social emotional, and really the assurance and indicators of what are the needs that we have at this time of a reentry resulting from COVID-19 around social emotional. Finally, the last area of consideration is really going to be looking at the logistics involving some standard operating procedures around health and safety when schools are opened and when the governor makes that decision. And at a minimum, we'd like to let you know that schools would need to address at a minimum transportation, social distance recommendations, cleaning and sanitizing procedures, and food preparation and serving. So as we speak, that team, that large interagency team is working on guidance and more to come on that. The second update I'd like to provide you this afternoon is on the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, which are referred to the ESSER funds. And North Dakota, our Department of Public Instruction submitted our certification and agreement for funding under this relief fund to the United States Education Department this last Friday on April 24th, 2020. And we're expecting a turnaround, a 3-day turnaround to hear from the federal government. As of date, we have not heard from them. Our anticipation is to hear from them actually later today and or tomorrow. We have an internal team has met and has prepared for training that is going to be needed to the field, and that outlines the process for our LEAs, our local districts, to apply for these ESSER funds. So we're ready to go. The webinar is ready, and we'll push that out when we actually hear from the federal government. So stay tuned. We'll provide you information on that. In terms of the distribution of the ESSER funds, the department has some priorities, and really is a quick dissemination of the funds to address the school and community needs. We want it to be simple, an expedited application process to disseminate the funds, and the third priority is local control and flexibility in use of the funds. So as I mentioned, stay tuned. We're ready to provide that webinar when we hear from the federal government and get those funds out to you. A third area that I want to update you on is child nutrition. The United States Department of Agriculture issued another statewide waiver yesterday This waiver provides districts the option to continue current food service operations through June 30th, 2020. The previous guidance that was given by the USDA indicated that you would have to quit at the end of the normal school year. And again, the new guidance is the option to continue those through June 30th, 2020. Under the heading of our special education, wanted to provide you an update. Jerry Tevens and our special education office met this morning with special education units. NDDPI and the special education office had developed a document that was shared with the special ed units to assist them in making decisions regarding the extended school year eligibility for students with disabilities. Also at this meeting that was briefly discussed was the press release by Secretary DeVos yesterday, April 27, 2020. In the Secretary's recommendation to Congress, she stated that the Department, Education, is not requesting waiver authority for any of the core tenets of IDEA or Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, most notably a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. And again, I think Jerry Tevens in her office, speaking with the special education units, just discussed what those principles that were identified led to the Secretary DeVos's decision not to ask for a waiver of that sort. However, the Secretary did ask for a waiver to extend the IDEA Part B transition evaluation timelines, which is Part B initial evaluation referred to, such that calculation of a timeline obligation shall resume no later than the day on which health and safety factors allow for face-to-face meetings to resume, and then the toddler can be evaluated. This waiver authority would also include explicit authorization for Part C services to continue during the delayed Part B transition evaluation timeline, so that a toddler may continue to receive Part C services after his or her third birthday and until a Part B evaluation is completed and an eligibility determination made. So this flexibility with this waiver should allow for CARES Act funds or other federal education funds. An example, the IDEA Part B funds to be used to provide these services. A rationale was given for that waiver, and without this flexibility, a toddler with a disability will lose access to services once he or she turns 3 years old. And with this flexibility, the parent and the SEA, the state education agency, or other lead agency may agree to continue providing early intervention services, Part C services, to toddlers with a disability until a Part B evaluation has been completed and an eligibility determination has been made. So the funding mechanisms must be addressed, as Part B funds cannot be used for a child not yet eligible for Part B services, and Part C funds cannot be used for a child who has aged out of Part C. And so if you've got questions with that, that was discussed with the special ed units today, along with our Director of Special Ed, Jerry Tevens, and her team. Had an update from for praxis exams or tests. All praxis testing was canceled due to COVID. However, ETS announced today that they are working on an in-home proctoring solution for individuals to be able to take the test where they are. This testing solution should be available. The anticipation date is mid-May. Education Standards and Practice Boards will know more next week after a webinar from ETS. And so at this time, practice testing is canceled due to COVID, and they're looking at other options to provide that testing. Let's see, as we continue. I want to update you on broadband surveys. We have provided updates in the past. on broadband survey. The survey of broadband availability is focused on rural areas because availability is not an issue in North Dakota's largest city. And so there are 72,000 North Dakota households with students in them within the Broadband Association of North Dakota service area. And again, the areas that are not included in those 72,000 households are Fargo, West Fargo, Grand Forks, Bismarck, Mandan are not included in those households. So of those 72,000, so far 2,027 student homes identify that they do not have broadband subscriptions. Possible solutions were identified to 1,829 of those homes, and out of those, 1,781 had been connected. And so as we're looking at access for students, to date, a solution has been found for 90% of those students identified without the current band connection in their homes. And we're down to 198 of those homes, or students rather, or 0.3% of students without a solution identified at this time. So they're still working to identify solutions for the remaining 198 students living without broadband access in those rural communities. And so wanted to provide you that update. Other just reminders is the resource center that is up and running on our website, North Dakota Department of Public Instruction website. It's under the COVID section entitled Resource Center. We will continue to vet the resources, the various, just many resources that come in and in different categories, vet them and put them out there for those of you in the field as a resource. So we encourage you to visit that site. With that said, that does conclude our update today. We will be back tomorrow and try to provide you with what we learn from day to day as we move forward in our COVID-19 situation. So thank you very much, and we will see you or hope to have you listen in tomorrow's update. Thank you.